Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio is presented to you by AnglersChoice.ca. The Angler's Choice Handmade Soft Plastics. Also sponsored in part by Handlebars Musky Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishin', Fish NV, Catch It. You're listening to Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio. All right, folks, welcome to Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio. My special guest this evening is none other than John Anderson from the Ottawa River Musky Factory.com. John, how are you tonight?
Fantastic, Ben. Pleasure to talk to you.
Welcome to the show.
I'm really happy to be here. Anytime talking fishing prior to the season, that's all we have, so I'm happy to chat with you tonight.
Perfect. All right, are you itching to get out?
Oh, can't wait. Got the calendar all lined up, and the days are mostly booked for for quite a while into the season already.
That's
so we got a good plan of attack ready to go.
Excellent. Well, John, give us a brief history of yourself and when you started fishing and how it transformed into the Ottawa River Musky Factory, that sort of thing.
Okay. I've been at this for a long time. I started in 1977, guiding in a place called Monackey, which is north of Kenora. So I was on the Lake of the Woods system. And so I did that at the end of my high school years and my early university years part-time, and just fell in love with it. The idea of people paying you money to go fishing was just a big revelation in my life. So
you can't beat that, eh?
Yeah, no. So I started guiding part-time on the Ottawa in the late 80s and did that through the 90s, and in 2000 I opened the Ottawa River Musky Factory, and so this has been my full-time vocation for 13 years. 80% of my business is for Americans, and I guide almost exclusively musky. Over the years I have guided walleye, pike, Lakers brown, specks, bows, and just about everything, and I think that helps you be a better all-round fisherman and a better musky fisherman. And I'm proud to say that so far this year I've caught fish on 3 continents already. I caught tilapia in Ethiopia, I caught tuna in Thailand, and I caught a 10-pound brown trout in Picton just a few weeks ago. So,
Beautiful.
Good start.
Yeah, absolutely. Who got you into fishing?
I guess my high school basketball coach and my musky mentor, Ken Stunnell. Ken's the owner of Sunset Lodge up in Monackey, and he just left town a few days to go to head up to the lodge and open it up and get going on the walleye season in northern Ontario. So he's a big influence and somebody I still consult with and tell tall tales with.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Well, John, tell us about the various species that can be found in the Ottawa River, because it's quite diverse stretch of water.
Diverse is a really good choice of words, Ben. I guess if there's two adjectives that you could sum the river up with, it would be diverse and big. Most people don't realize how big a waterway it is and how deep it is in a lot of places. It's 1,300 kilometers long, and it's biologically diverse. It has over 90 species of fish in it. 93, 94, 95, that game is changing with new species coming into the system and others exiting, as they're pushed out and as things change. And so the 90 species, that makes it an extremely biodiverse body of water. A lot of rivers and lakes in Canada have only 6 or 8 species, and so that gives you an idea of what's going on here. And the other thing is it's geographically diverse because it's so long. It's got a lot of different looks to it and different features involved in it. When you go up above Ottawa, it looks gnarly and windblown and very much like northern Ontario. And then the lower quarter of the river reflects that there's been a lot of agriculture in the Ottawa Valley and a lot of silt-laden tributaries flowing into it.
Yeah, I saw that when we were crossing over when we went down for the Valley Carp Show.
Yeah.
And I could not believe the amount of sediment in the river.
Yeah, and the thing is, the river's dynamic, and the visibility and the amount of sediment in the river is different from section to section.
Oh.
Again, you have very different characteristics. As well, when I say sections, they are literally sections, and a key feature of the dam that governs a lot of what goes on there today is the dam system that was created a long time ago, up until, basically the early 60s. And what they did is they built huge dams, and they sectioned off the river into different regions, and they weren't thinking about fish ladders back then, and so literally created separate and distinct sections of the river and isolated fish populations, and so your fish became strong or weak. And, there's sections of the river, for example, that have no muskellunge whatsoever when you go up the Ottawa, and there's sections that are among the very best waters in the world on it, and so. Same thing with the sturgeon population. The sturgeon population on the upper end is in a lot of trouble these days, and the sturgeon population from Ottawa on down is actually increasing and thriving. So you have a very very different river in different areas because of these dams. And another thing that the dams did is that they provided stable water. And so in the spring, when you have a lot of fish looking to spawn, water levels never rise or fall too extremely. And so fish have constant access to their preferred spawning grounds. Fish learn to spawn in the same place year after year. They want to go to those areas. They know how to spawn in those areas. They're good there. And so what the dams do is provide constant water and give constant access to these areas for the fish. And so you have what's called continuous recruitment. And that means that, just about every year is a good year for the fish in terms of being able to generate fish that will survive to go on to the next year, fish that will become a part of their population. So those dams, that's a good thing that they do is help with spawn. And a bad thing they did with sturgeon, for example, like to migrate hundreds of miles. And so when you put the dams in and the sturgeon couldn't migrate, in some sections of the river, they didn't learn to spawn very well. And other sections, for example, the lower section, they have learned to reproduce and maintain a healthy population. So, again, just stories about the diversity of the river. We're lucky to have such a magnificent fishery here.
Now, when you say upwards to 90 species of fish, there's been some fantastic species of fish caught there. Tell me about a couple of specific species of fish that are found in the Ottawa River that have laid claim to the area.
Well, I guess an interesting one off the top is gar. There's 5 species of gar in the world. We have long-nosed gar in Canada, and the greatest gar fisheries in Canada are in different areas of the Ottawa River, and specifically the lower Ottawa. I think most of the Canadian record and Ontario record gar for going back over 25 years have come out of the lower Ottawa River, and that's certainly an odd-looking fish. I mean, it doesn't look like it belongs in Canada. If you've seen a gar, it almost looks on a scale of evolution. It kind of fits between a pike and a crocodile.
Yeah.
It would be the missing link between those two. So really something rare, and we get gar. In here, in the mid 54, 55, and 56 inch range. I think the records are up to these days. So that's a unique one, for example. I mentioned the sturgeon before, and if you go back to the 1930s, they have records of sturgeon up to 175 pounds. Conveniently, they don't have pictures of those, but there's a lot of stories of sturgeon, in the 100-pound range over the years. I haven't seen anything like that myself on the river, but I'd say I've seen them up to maybe 5.5 feet. Over 5 feet and 4 feet. It's very common to see 4 feet sturgeon jumping out of the water. In the summertime, a lot of people don't believe it, but your sturgeon on the river jump out of the water. On a good day, you'll see 12 or 14 of them. They come jumping out of the water like a dolphin at an aquarium trying to touch a trainer's pole. And they just come flying up vertically and turn sideways into a muskie fisherman. When you're out chasing muskies, you see something slim and 4 feet long up in the air, it gets your attention. So that, they look kind of musky-like, and so the sturgeon population is something special in the river. Bob Izumi called the Ottawa River Canada's greatest bass fishery back in the 90s. I don't know if he'd still validate it as such, but it's certainly got a great bass population. It's got trout in various sections in the upper river. I know that they've reintroduced lake trout very successfully and got big lakers growing farther up the river. And then probably the greatest single resource fish resource on the Ottawa River would be the musky fishery, and that's you can't say it better than that. That's the greatest single resource there is on the river. Of the over 90 species of fish in there, that's the one that people come from around the world to pursue.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of muskie, while we were down there during the muskie day for the Ottawa chapter, the ministry was in, and there's been a couple changes made to ensure a bigger and better muskie fishery in the Ottawa River. Tell us about some of those changes.
Well, I guess the biggest change that came into effect was probably going on about a decade ago now, and that's a 54-inch size limit. And with a 54-inch size limit, that size limit came into effect with the Ottawa River being identified as one of only 5 designated world-class muskie fisheries in Canada. Muskies Canada was responsible for making that happen. There was a bunch of data that had to be supplied over the years prior to the regulations changing and to that designation being applied to it. But with the river being called a world-class muskie fishery, it's a 54-inch size limit came into effect, and that means that basically it's 100% catch and release. There's very, very few fish over 54 inches caught, and those fish are primarily angled by people who are in pursuit of them and would let them go, would let them go anyway. And the other thing, I guess, that designation of world-class muskie fishery says is it's a validation of the health of the Ottawa River whole. The fact that there's over 90 species of fish in it, that it's got a genetically strong species of muskellunge in it, that it's clean enough, that it's got all the populations of fish underneath it. When you're looking at an apex predator, you don't have the apex predator in the system unless you have everything in place underneath it to support it. And the Ottawa River certainly has all kinds of healthy fish populations to support apex predators and bigger predators in general. There's a lot of red horse suckers, a lot of carp, a lot of smaller minnows. They're all there.
The one thing that I value as a member of Muskies Canada is the passion that our membership puts towards this fishery, and working alongside the MNR to produce a fishery for generations, not just this one, but generations ahead. And we're not thinking about our fishery today, we're thinking about our fishery 10 years down the road. And I think you can agree that without the ongoing support of Muskies Canada and the MNR, the fishery like the Ottawa River wouldn't be there.
Absolutely. Muskies Canada, Muskies Canada and the MNR have both been instrumental in helping ensure the muskie population is what it is today. Muskies Canada is the first group to support catch and release, and that goes back to the 70s, before anybody thought it was a good idea to put what you caught back in the river. Muskie fishermen were banging on that drum a long time ago. Our fish live to 30 years old. All our big fish are females. You need to put those big fish back to keep those genes in the system. And so Muskies Canada's been vital in getting that message driven home, whether it's from from the catch and release and information signs that have been placed at boat launches all over the region to the continual public information seminars and booths, and a presence at the fishing shows in the region, mentoring new members who come to the club to the monthly meetings out at the Legion in Orleans on the third Tuesday of every month. If I can give the
absolutely, you most certainly can plug away at your chapter meetings.
If I can give the club, I mean, Peter Levick is a president that's got ambition for the club, and we're involved in so many different projects around the region. And for example, one thing a lot of people don't realize is through Muskies Canada, the Ottawa River's been the home to cutting-edge research, for over 20 years, going back to the first telemetry study done in this region in 1994. That was financed and orchestrated by Muskies Canada on our muskie population to protect spawning beds. The most recent Project Noble Beast, coordinated by Sean Landsman out of Carleton University. Absolutely cutting-edge science, measuring the stress of catching a fish and the survival rate, as well as a high-end telemetry study as a byproduct of that study. That's all done by people who on volunteer time.
Yeah.
With their money.
We're not
those are people who care about the system, and those are the people who are going to make sure it's there for like you said, for generations to come. It takes managers. It takes work.
Absolutely. So, folks, if you're interested in becoming a member of Muskies Canada, you can log on to Muskies Canada. I don't want to screw this up, so I'm going to say .ca.
There you go. You got it.
And because we're Canadian, and you can find your way to the membership form, and there's a ton of great people in this organization, and also we're now a foundation. And if you'd like to touch a little bit on that, John, of your own personal views of that.
I think that has to be the future of the club. It's taken a while to get there, and being a foundation makes you a charitable organization. And let's face it, money drives the world. Money drives the world, and so the ability to raise monies to take on projects, and there's a whole list of projects. I mean, we finance all kinds of fantastic projects. I just mentioned Project Noble Beast, and that involves transmitters and time and payment for a student who put in 60 and 70 hours a week all year and so much free time. Those projects like that are so valuable, and they don't just happen. It takes money to make these things happen, as well as your volunteer hours. And so becoming a foundation allows us to take on projects like Project Noble Beast, like the Lake Simcoe Stocking Program, like population evaluations, like environmental assessments, like habitat restoration, and the list goes on and on and on. And so
down the line.
Kudos to Muskies Canada for this initiative.
Yeah. Well, John, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure and very insightful to the diversity of the Ottawa River. If you'd like to know more, folks, about John Anderson and the Ottawa River, be sure to log on to the Ottawa River Musky Factory.com. John's been my guest, and John, thank you again.
Pleasure, Ben. Anytime. Talk to you soon.
Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio is presented to you by AnglersChoice.ca. The Angler's Choice in handmade soft plastics. Also sponsored in part by Handlebars Musky Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishin', Fish NV, Catch It. You're listening to Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio. Here's the rant from Cooper Gallant.
Hey everyone, tonight my 60-second rant is going to be focused on the snagging of salmon and rainbow trout in Lake Ontario tributaries. I could go on for this for hours, but I only have 60 seconds, so I'm going to get started here. I'm just going to let all you young anglers know that may not know what snagging is. When people snag fish, most people use three-prong hooks, and what they do is they drag the hook right into the fish's back, the fish actually isn't even eating the hook, and the worst thing about it is people reel it in, they bring the fish to shore and just kill it. And believe it or not, during salmon season, I almost see this every single day I go down the river, and it ticks me right off. I belong to the Bonneville Creek Anglers Association, and we watershed here in Bowmanville, and the association is dedicated to protect our amazing fishery we have. And under the Fisheries Act, fines can range from $300 to $3,000 depending on the violation. It's definitely not worth the chance, and it's just downright cruel. For all you young anglers out there, don't be shy. Always feel confident to protect such an amazing fishery we have out here. But remember, when you approach somebody, do it with respect and knowledge. Thanks for listening. This is Cooper Gallant, 60-Second Rant.
Hey folks, if you like what you hear on Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio, or have any suggestions, or would like to be a guest, drop us a line at benmcquinney@yahoo.com. All right, folks, welcome back. My next guest this evening is, I like to call her the Bay of Quinte Queen. She's the host of Captured on WFN, and a recent host on Fly Nation, which also aired on WFN this past week. She's a blogger on SheLovesToFish.com and Lures and Tours spokesperson. My next guest is the wonderful Ashley Rae. Ashley, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing? Thanks
Good.
for having me.
Hey, it's great to have you. Wonderful. So, how's fishing been?
Fishing is always good, in my opinion. If you can have time to get out fishing, then it's good. I'm always happy to fish. I haven't been out a whole lot in the last few days just because the weather's been really crazy. It's been super windy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposed to be nice this weekend, so hopefully that'll change.
And you're a bit of a carp aficionado, I see.
Pardon?
I see that you're a bit of a carp aficionado.
Yeah, I learned carp fishing last year. Like, a friend took me out under his wing and showed me the ropes of it. And so I did it myself this year, and I've been having a blast with it. And I think that carp are so underrated, and there's so many people that don't like them. They say, they're big and ugly and smelly. But, I mean, I'm not fishing to eat them, so I don't care. But they're so much fun, and they're so big, and you can't go wrong catching a big fish.
And they're quite sensitive. A lot of people don't know about carp, but if you're not set up just right and you have your proper presentation and they come up to it, and if there's something they don't like about it, guess what? They're not going to take it.
Yeah, I've been told that, and I haven't fished for them for very long, so I can't really say that I'm much of an expert on it yet, but yeah, I've heard that too, and they can be pretty finicky, so I'm going to try fishing for them hopefully pretty soon. Like, where I live, there's a great area, but it's been really windy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some great carp, and some really big carp that come in here in the spring, and I'm hoping to try and catch them in my kayak if I can do that.
Oh, yes, your Hobie.
Yeah, get towed by a cart.
Well, Ash, let's get some background on you for the listeners.
Yeah.
Who got you into fishing?
When I was 5, my parents took my brother and I to a friend's lodge, and Arnold, the lodge owner, he took my brother and I fishing every summer when we went back. We go back a couple times a year, and that's where it started. So my parents don't fish, but, a friend of theirs introduced my brother and I.
Perfect. So it's kind of a brother-sister kind of deal. That's your gig. That's what you guys do.
Honestly,
and Mom
my
and Dad
brother doesn't
kick
really
back.
fish now. Like, it's kind of just me, because he plays the drums in a band, and that's his thing, and he's crazy about that. Like, I'm crazy about fishing. So, we do fish. Usually every year we get out, but he's not, he doesn't have the fishing bug like I do.
Yeah, you do have quite the fishing bug. I can remember years back now. Oh, goodness, this is going back quite a ways.
Honestly, I remember, because I think it was 2009.
When was the WFN contest?
The contest was in 2009.
Yeah.
So it must have been in 2010 that I met you guys. I remember meeting you at the Sportsman show there.
Yeah, and you made the cover of Bass Man magazine, which was a Canadian publication.
Pardon?
Yeah, it was a Canadian publication, and I saw you, and I was like, "Can you sign my magazine?"
I know, you guys, like, made me cry, because I was, like, so emotional that somebody, like, remembered me and, you know, came to talk to me, and I got to meet your son. He was so cute, and now I get to see him every year.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see him growing up. And your wife, or you're not your wife, your girlfriend, your wife, sorry, I don't know.
Whatever we'll call her my better half.
Pardon?
We'll call her my better half.
Yes, your better half. She is awesome, and it's so great to see you guys at the shows every year and see how much Ty has grown.
Yeah. So we go from the WFN contest, and then that snowballed.
Yeah, that gave me a huge push because, you know, I joined a bass fishing club, like a Bassmasters club in 2008, and I fished in that club for a few years. Then I did the WFN contest, and that gave me, like, you know, a bit of a push for people to, you know, see me and see that I love fishing and check out my website and stuff like that. And then from there, it just, you know, I've worked hard at it, and it's just been getting better and better, I guess.
Now, you have quite a few sponsors that have come along for the ride since you started this fishing journey of yours. Tell us about a few of those.
Well, sponsors that I have now are Alumacraft and Hobie, Rapala, Lures and Tours, X-Zone, and Mustang. And I think that's it. I'll feel bad if I forgot. But no, it's been great to have the support the whole time, and you know, just people are amazing. They recognize that I love sharing the passion for fishing, and they want to help me with that.
Excellent, and you are an absolute spokesperson for each and every one of them. Yeah. And you love your Hobie. I gotta tell you.
I love my Hobie. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's a blast, and I'll probably get out on it tomorrow, but kayak fishing is just something different, and it's so much fun. I've met so many great people that kayak fish, and, you know, I've talked to people who have wanted to kayak fish and now do, because they see, you know, it's really accessible. You can throw it on the roof of your car. You can drive around and, you know, fish different areas and fish places that boats can't go. So it's just so much fun.
Absolutely. Well, recently, this year, you started a new series called Captured, and it takes place on the Bay of Quinte, correct?
Captured takes place in the Land O'Lakes.
Oh, Land O'Lakes. So my apologies. Okay.
No worries. So the Land O'Lakes is where I live, the region where I live, and there's 5,000 lakes in the area, so there's so many different fishing opportunities. It's crazy.
Hence the Land O'Lakes.
Yeah, exactly. And the Bay of Quinte region kind of falls into part of the Land O'Lakes, but yeah, it's all, you know, it's a great area to live. There's fishing opportunities year-round, so it's, you know, I love to live here.
And you do talks and seminars and that sort of thing?
Yeah. This is my second year doing seminars. So I started last year at some of the trade shows in the area, and I did it again this year, so I'm getting better. I get a little bit nervous before I do it, but I love doing it. Once I start talking, I'm fine, but, you know, it'll take time to be totally confident and not nervous. Although I've talked to some people that have been doing it for years and years, and they say that they still get a little bit nervous right before they go up. So I guess it's normal.
So back to the Captured. This is all about ice fishing, correct?
No,
it's
a lot
just
of people think that because our first episode was ice fishing.
Okay.
It's a multi-species fishing show. Just like me, I fish multi-species, so the show is going to be multi-species.
Excellent. And what is your favorite fish to catch?
I do not have a favorite.
You don't?
No, like people ask me that all the time, but can't decide because I fish all the time, so I love catching everything, but I can't decide on a favorite.
Have you ever...
There's some fish that I don't know. I can't decide. I mean, whatever I'm catching right now, I'm really excited about it. So, there's fish that I would die to catch, but I haven't caught them yet.
And what are some of the fish that you have caught?
Oh, that I have caught?
Yeah.
Well,
you've caught.
I've pretty much caught everything available in the area.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Not to sound like, but I've pretty much caught most species that are available in this region. So, I don't know. I guess it'd be easier to say what I haven't caught.
Okay, what haven't you caught?
I haven't caught a dogfish.
A dogfish?
Yeah.
Huh.
Heard of that?
Yes, actually I have. They're quite gruesome to look at.
I guess the name, I believe it's a bowfin, so I haven't caught a bowfin, right? And I want to catch one of those. And let me think, what else have I not caught? I don't know, I can't think of it. I should have been more prepared for that.
No worries. So, now, the Fly Nation episode that aired recently, you went to probably one of the most magnificent places, one of the many magnificent places in Canada.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
It was amazing, and I can't wait to fish for Atlantic salmon again, especially after watching that episode. But it was an amazing trip. We went for 10 days fishing for Atlantic salmon on two of the most famous rivers in New Brunswick. So there's the Miramichi and the Restigouche rivers. And, yeah, you just got to watch it. I mean, it's such an incredible fishery. The water is crystal clear. The fish fight like crazy. Everyone who's there is just, it's a different culture.
Mm-hmm.
They're so proud of, their fish, and it's incredible. That's all I can say, really. It was so much fun.
How do you like being a quasi TV celebrity?
Well, I don't know. I don't really think of myself like that. I love fishing, and I love sharing that passion with other people and talking to people about it and meeting people. So I don't know. I don't feel like I'm some kind of superstar. I just love to fish, right? And I'm really thankful and really lucky that, I'm able to do it.
Absolutely. Ed, the old adage is a bad day fishing beats a good day at work.
Yes. And I used to say that all the time.
Yeah. Now, Lures and Tours, that gives you an opportunity to share that passion with other people.
Yeah, the Lures and Tours publication is really great. It gives you, information about different regions. It has tons of different booklets, but for someone who is coming from out of town, they can open up the booklet or the map and, see what's in the area, and it highlights, places that you'd want to go, restaurants, and all kinds of information. So it's really good for people who aren't from the area, but it's also really useful for people that are.
Excellent. So, and you can find Lures and Tours publications at most retail tackle stores, correct?
Yes.
And you can also go online. And what's the address, Ashley?
luresandtours.com.
There you go. Well, folks,
it's easy to remember.
Yeah, that's the time I have with my special guest, Ashley Rae. It's been an absolute pleasure for myself to watch her progression into who she's become today, and she's down to earth. If you get a chance to meet her on the street, say hi, share a fishing story, and get tips. She has her blog page, shelovetofish.com. Check it out. It's a wealth of knowledge and great stories. And Ashley, is there anything else you'd like to plug here?
Well, we were talking about the Fly Nation episode, and it's actually available on my website. The the extended version has been put online, so if anyone missed it, they can watch it for free online.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Ashley, thank you very much for being my guest tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's great chatting with you again.
All right. You take care.
Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio is presented to you by AnglersChoice.ca. The Angler's Choice Handmade Soft Plastics. Also sponsored in part by Handlebars Musky Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishin', Fish NV, Catch It. You're listening to Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio. Musical consideration for Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio provided by Animal Confession. Bright Light Dark Eyes is out now. Buy it at www.animalconfession.com.